Welcome to Weld.com. Today we're going to demonstrate the 3G plate, vertical up, all the way out. 6010 root, 7018 fill and cap. It's not the virtual competition demonstration, but it's close. So, you know, you viewers that are going to watch it and been requesting it, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the 3/8 inch plate by 4 inch by 7 inch, put 30-degree bevels on both pieces. It's going to have a 332 gap with a 1/8 root face. I already put the bevel on these plates with that Gulco KBM 18 bevel machine that I love working with. And I'll prep the plates with old Tiger Paw, knock the mill scale off. And then I'm going to tack it up with 6010 1/8 rod. And you know, this is like a fundamental test straight out of D11 code book. If you guys know anything about the code book, it's a very simple structural test that you know they always give, and it's usually 3 positions: 2G, 3G, and the 4G. Well, we're just going to do the 3G today. Like I said, for you structural guys out there, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is just a fundamental test just to get you through the destructive test. If they're going to bend it, if they're going to X-ray it, you know, so you get a job. So it's real simple. But anyway, I'm going to demonstrate the uphill 6010 with you guys. And then for fill and cap, we're going to go with the Bohler Fox EV50 E7018-1H4R, 1/8 diameter, and AWS spec of A5.1. So I got this coupon tacked up. I'm going to put it in the positioner. You know, these positioners are nice because they'll hold it exactly where you want it, where you need it. Straight up and down, 90 degrees, like it is on the contest. But we're not comparing it to the contest. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put the root in this thing and I'll weld it out. So we got the arc initiated, and I use the jack technique, you know, up and down with it, and keep the puddle nice and hot. And you see that as the arc goes out, I kind of drag it a little bit too far to kind of cool it off and initiate it again. So it goes in pretty good like that because I like to burn it a little bit warm. Tying back into it, you get it nice and hot, do a little circle so it ties in, it makes that 100% penetration. And I go back to the same routine technique, is, you know, jacking it up and down, keep that puddle nice and hot and wet. So here we come to the top, and it's getting hot. It's getting real hot. So I'm wanting to get out of it, and there it is. So you can see that I put the root in it. I'm gonna take the wire wheel and wire wheel it real good. And what we'll do next is we'll go to 7018, all 70 series, 80 series, 90 series rods before you weld with them should be kept in the oven anywhere from 225 to 300 degrees. No more than 300, no less than 225. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about the settings on this PowerEye MIG 315 Everlast machine. So as you see, it's got the MIG and stick set up, and of course we're welding stick, so it's set on stick. Don't need any volts, so that's on 0. So we go to the MIG stick arc force. I got the MIG stick arc force set on 2. And of course, 77 amps for the 1/8 6010 rod that I run the root in that plate with. The heat seemed pretty good. It was a little warm, but I kind of like to run a little warm. And it's got 2 other features on there: it's spot and stitch. That's all for MIG welding, but we're not MIG welding today with it. So what I'm gonna do next is we're gonna step up and go to 7018 1/8. So I figured I'd run it about 110, 115. So I'll go ahead and turn it up. I'll go 114 and we'll try that. And I'm sure that's nice and warm, so it ought to run nice and smooth. So here we are. We initiate the arc on a 7018. And, you know, a lot of people use this technique too. You know, you go from side to side and you can either, you know, 1001, 1002 and hold the sides. And, you know, you're pushing that metal up into that groove. Keeping that puddle nice and hot and manipulating it. That's why we have a side view of it too. You can see the angle of the rod, so everybody out in the audience can see exactly how this thing's run. And that's another reason why I like this Bohler product. It doesn't fingernail, and those rods run really smooth. So I really like these rods. And you can see it's going in real nice. And it's running a little hot, but I like it warm. So we're coming up, fixing to change rods out here.
Eyeball.
And we're going to initiate. I like to strike at least 3 to 4 inches if you can above the tie-in, so that rod's nice and hot. And we go back to the same technique. You know, 1001, 1002 on the sides. Just hold it there that long enough. So we'll be coming up to the top. You can see on the back of that plate how warm it is. That thing is hot, especially with that. It's only 3/8 thick plate, and that 1/8 rod burning at about 114, 115 is hot. You'll see it when it gets to the top. It wants to fall out, and it does. But that's the part, like I've been saying before, the 1 inch in the top and 1 inch on the bottom. They don't test any of that. They might do a visual on it, but you know that's what happens. So, you know, if that happens and they say something about it, you know, you might want to put a runoff plate on it.
Poof. So as you can see, you know, the filler pass went in really well. It tied in real good. And I didn't want to overfill it because, you know, you want a nice profile on it, like a 1/8, no more than a 1/8 buildup on the cap. So you can see how nice it's tied in, and you can see also too when it's really starting getting hot at the top. But if you guys remember, if any kind of non-destructive or destructive testing, they don't use, if this was a coupon, they don't use an inch from the top or an inch from the bottom. You know, so they just cut your straps out of here. So it looks really good, and we're going to proceed to put the cap on it, and we're going to weld it out.
So just like I said before, I like to strike my rod 3 to 4 or 5 inches, you know, when I'm going to tie in or start from. And I come down, and you see it's running really smooth. The puddle's flowing really nice. Side to side, half the crown on the filler there that you want to fill, so when you come back with your second pass, it ties in real nice and looks very uniform. It's making really nice tie-ins, flowing really good. The puddle looks nice and wide. Another thing is with these, a lot of people like to put just one big bead up it. I like to run stringers because it looks a lot more uniform to me, and you're not supposed to go over 1.5 times the rod size on a weave anyway, so.
So we initiate the arc on the final pass of the cap, and going back to the same technique. You know, it's really simple. 1001, 1002. Holding it to the base metal and holding it to the middle of the crown of the weld. Make a nice tie-in. So it's getting a little warm. That's why I'm trying to manipulate the puddle and push more wire in there to compensate for the heat, so it doesn't get any undercut on the crown of the cap or into the base metal.
So as you can see, you know, the cap on this plate come out pretty good. No undercut on either side of the toe of the plate, the toe of the weld. And the crown tie-ins look really nice and slick. As you can see, everything looks pretty good. And it's right at an 1/8 inch above the base metal, exactly about what you want. So I think it come out pretty good. And just remember too, is this is your startup area and this is your runoff area. So 1 inch from the bottom, like I said before, 1 inch from the top will never be used as any kind of destructive or non-destructive testing. So like I said before, this is your startup area and this is your finishing area, your runoff. You can put plates on the bottom, or if you put a backing strip on it, you'd have a runoff, you know, a startup and a runoff plate. But this is an open root, so we don't have a backing strip on this. But then we'll go around to the back and look at the root. So this is not exactly what I'm looking for. It's not 100% penetration. And it looks like the gap opening was too small, which I'm gonna have to open up on the next one that I'm gonna do, because I'm not satisfied with this one at all. So I'm gonna scrap this one and we're gonna get another one tacked up and we're gonna go for it. So I set this coupon up with a 1/8 gap. I feel more comfortable with a 1/8 gap. On plate, usually on pipe, I go with a 332 gap with a 332 land or nickel land. And the reason why I do that is because the rods always change an angle when you're welding pipe. When you're welding plate, the angle stays the same. So that's why I feel more comfortable with a 1/8 gap than I did a 332. So as you see, I put the second pass on the cap on the plate. And here's what I really like about these Bohler rods. The consistency of flux coating helps from fingernailing, and you don't have to worry about that. And then of course the engineering to reduce the porosity with the formula that they use, really great. And another tip I want to give you is it doesn't get any better than this. The flux falls right off. This root really come out really good. It's got 100% penetration, and it might have a little 1/16 push through, which is perfect. And I'm really satisfied with this one. I like this one. The last one, I didn't have my root opening right. I opened the root opening up on this one to 1/8, so I really got good penetration and consistency. Kept the amps about 88 amps, which I usually run at anyway, but I didn't mess with the amps or anything. I just messed with the root opening. That's what really gave it a nice profile, good penetration,
and it really looks good. So if you like what you see, push the like button and subscribe to Weld.com. See you on the next one.